Hello friends, this is Shailendra Kharath. I teach political science at the Savitribai Phule Pune University, Pune, India. And I am going to speak on identity dominance and contestation, young people's engagement with heritage and culture. Many scholars have written about meaning and nature of heritage. For Graham, Ashworth and Tunbridge, heritage deals with the past and history. However, the purpose and function of doing so is strongly rooted in the present. Heritage is also about various meanings that this past has for different people. Additionally, heritage involves tourism and commerce. In India, one finds cultural diversity at many levels. So, we have people belonging to many religions, castes, languages, etc. Each of these cultural identities has their own heritage. Colonial control, modernity, and introduction of democratic institutions have further complicated these diversities. Diverse meanings and interpretations of those heritages often result in social tension. This context meant that creating a modern nation after being under British colonial control for more than 2 centuries was always a challenge. For dealing with this challenge, India adopted a model of nation state that shunned the idea that diversity would necessarily harm national unity. Thus, both the forces of diverse identities and need to forge a national unity were recognized. This model has lately come under stress due to increasing influence of in Hindu nationalism. This paper seeks to understand various ways in which young people interact with heritage and culture, and it tries to analyze different narratives of heritage and culture that emanate from these interactions. Theoretical formulations by scholars Stuart Hall and Barbara Christianbald Gimlet are quite useful in conceptualizing the insights that emerge from our fieldwork. To sum up their enriching and complicated arguments, heritage and perceptions about it are not given but constructed in the context of specific socio-cultural environment, and therefore heritage is not a neutral, impartial depiction of past but a process full of power relations found in the broader societal spheres. In the temple and the cave complex, the temple belongs to a goddess that is a family deity of many people from Koli community. Kolis are traditionally associated with fishing occupation and come mainly from Mumbai and northern Konkan regions of Maharashtra. The caves are visited mainly by the students of archaeology and history, young people and foreign tourists. Several tensions were palpable between the temple and the caves. The museum, on the other hand, is a collection done arduously by one man. He went to different parts of India to collect the exhibits kept in it. While doing fieldwork, we used various qualitative research methods, including participant observations, walking interviews, and focus group discussions. Shivaji was a 17th century warrior king from a part of Marathi speaking areas. His symbol has become quite popular in mobilizing various sections of society in modern Maharashtra. Hill forts were strategically and socially very important in Shivaji's political and military achievements. Amongst young people, we observed emotional attachment to Shivaji and his various feats. One respondent expressed wonder at architecture of Shivaji's forts considering the period they were built in. To quote the same respondent, because I am from Pune and Maharaj was also born here, it was a matter of pride. When I grew up, I had respect of a different kind for Maharaj, that this was a person due to whom present Maharashtra exists. Had he not been there, we do not know what would have been Maharashtra's future. Even now, I get goosebumps talking about him, unquote. He continues that unlike his contemporary kings, Shivaji was never deceived by his ministers because he always used to think about his people. In these instances, one can clearly see the link between idolization of Shivaji and his forts on the one hand and regional consciousness of being Maharashtrian on the other. Also note the vocabulary of battle and military that is used to create this consciousness. We found that this love for Shivaji and forts are also linked with national identity apart from regional one. Thus, a couple of respondents mentioned that because the area they were from has many quote forts of Shivrai unquote, Indian Navy has built one of its camps there. We found that formal education is an important institutional structure that imparts various key heritage symbols and messages of regional and national culture to youth. In an FGD, several young people enthusiastically related about a cultural event organized by their school. This program, according to one of them, was called Folk Culture of Maharashtra. It included performances of folk dances and music of various caste communities in the state. These are lower and backward communities like Koris, Gondaris, etc. These performances present a specific vision of state's heritage for young people. This picture consists of romanticized representation of these communities as performance of art from bygone era and carriers of folk culture of the state. This representation, however, sidelines the fact that these communities were accorded lowly position in the traditional caste structure of Indian society, and a vast majority of these people were still educationally and economically backward. The colorful presentation of these cultural programs, however, cements the connection between these performance and identity of being Maharashtrian in the minds of young students. The young people were relating time, mainly past and present, with heritage and culture in various interesting ways. They assumed a clear link between the past and heritage. Some of them expressed their liking for heritage because it hails from the past. Others were so much fascinated by heritage that they wished to be part of the past from where the heritage is supposed to be hailing. During a walking interview through the museum site, the respondent pointed at an old locker and said that whenever he looks at the old things like those, he tries to visualize as to how uh, people might in the past be using them. Probably due to their wish to go back in the past, the respondents would also want and imagine the characters and objects from the past to visit the present times. Thus, one respondent rued that heritage sites are quote unquote desecrated because many people write on them with chalks. He continued that people in the past would not have built those structures had they known that we are going to do this with them. Finally, because of their fascination for the past, the respondents would compare it with the present times, and to them, past seemed much better than the present times. Thus, a respondent, while describing a beautiful heritage palace that he had visited, remarked that quote unquote they were far ahead from quote unquote us, despite our modernist and futurist views. We found that even if heritage is supposed to belong to entire society and nation, concrete heritage narratives are highly selective, highlighting heritage of some influential sections and pushing heritage of others in the background. Spatial arrangements at both the sites show how heritage is concretely presented for young people, amongst others. The museum site claims to be exhibiting, quote, priceless artifacts which mirror everyday life of India, unquote. However, our fieldwork shows that these artifacts have ended up including some and excluding others from diverse heritage and culture of the country. One of the features of these exhibits is objects used by elites in the 18th and 19th century. This includes scent bottles, sandalwood collections, rose water sprinklers, etc. One also finds sculptures of Hindu gods and goddesses such as Ram, Sita, Krishna, Vishnu, etc. at various places in the museum. Paucity of representation of other Indian religions in this place makes it deeply majoritarian in nature. Thirdly, the space seems to be very much gendered, especially the section showing various utensils. Along with these utensils from the past, it also displays pictures of women carrying water, churning buttermilk, cutting vegetables, and cooking. This heritage imagination pushes women into private lives, thereby sustaining the patriarchal system. By validating elitism, majoritarianism, and patriarchy through its narratives, it contributes in sustaining those unjust social forces. This depiction of heritage appeals to the young people. At the museum site, a respondent expressed her fascination at the artistry on things of daily use that were exhibited. While doing so, she said that because our ancestors were using those good things, we are able to use various new things today. Apart from her attraction for the things used by elites in the past, this young person identified these elites as, quote, our ancestors, unquote. This indicates that attraction for those exhibits can easily turn into remembering them as, quote, our past, unquote, thereby converting the past of the elites into, quote, the past of the entire society, unquote. This makes for a good concrete instance of normalizing and internalizing heritage domination and exclusion discussed above. Our fieldwork in and around the adjacent cave and temple complex threw some interesting contending positions about heritage. One of these contentions is between the spheres of myth and history. Thus, we observe that students were one of the important sections visiting the caves, mainly to, quote, study, unquote, historical, architectural, and other aspects of the same. On the other hand, people belonging to Koli community were the main visitors to the temple, and religious rituals were one of the key functions going on in and around the temple. A young respondent summed this up, saying that the caves are a sphere of culture and temple is a sphere of religion. He added that historically the caves are more important than the temple. The position held by local young people is more complicated than this. It has multiple elements. Firstly, they do differentiate between the temple and the cave as spheres of myth and history respectively. However, they desist from putting the two spheres in hierarchical relations. So, a young person referred to both the sites as being, quote unquote, wonderful. Another element in this perception is that of overlap between the two sites. So, a young person, while referring to both these sites, said, quote, the caves mean goddesses, unquote. Thus, in addition to juxtaposition and tension between the temple and the cave, young people's mental map also consists of harmony and identity between the two. Another related layer of this contest was between the expert and popular knowledge. A young archaeology student reported that at the site she overheard some people saying that Shivaji Maharaj has built this fort. She called this as, quote, absence of knowledge, unquote. The position of experts believe that knowledge about the past must pass rational criteria coming out of historiography. The local young people, however, seem to be using mythical beliefs regarding heritage in their everyday lives. They reported that every year before submitting their applications for 10th and 12th grade examinations, the students in their school make it a point to pray the goddess by visiting her temple. This, they added, ensures that the students pass those examinations with flying colors. This shows a rich diversity and contestation in young people's perception about heritage. Aleda Asman has argued that collective memory plays a very important role in creation of social and political identities. For her, collective memory is constructed with the help of, quote, memorial signs that consists of symbols, texts, images, rites, ceremonies, places, and monuments, unquote. This process of memory enactment is highly selective and exclusive, which makes it acutely power-laden. Prachi Deshpande has shown that use of Shivaji's symbol to create diverse and contending social cultural identities uh, has been full with such selections, inclusions and exclusions. Since 1960s, Shivaji has been projected by Shiva Sena to further its militant Sons of Soil ideology. Also, in recent years, a populist leader has been a dominant political force in India. Seen on these backgrounds, our findings that young people's constructions of Shivaji's image is full with military symbolism and as a populist leader can be understood. Stuart Hall has shown that heritage narratives are constructions that are closely related with power relations existing in the society. According to him, quote, selective canonization, unquote, involved in heritage confers, quote, institutional facticity, unquote, on the same, making it extremely difficult to revise. Our fieldwork shows that heritage narratives in India are dominated by religious majoritarianism, elites in the past, and gender roles. For young people, some of these narratives get normalized, which shows that Stuart Hall's institutional facticity has seeped into young people's minds. Further, these dominant narratives are presented and accepted as the heritage of entire nation and society. This goes a long way in establishing cultural dominations and exclusions. However, along with dominations, we also saw that young people's conceptions on heritage are made up of contending and diverse positions about the same. Thus, they put the cave and temple in hierarchical, harmonious, as well as overlapping positions. Expert views on heritage might present a dichotomy between history and myth. Assmann has shown how both of them are interrelated though. According to her, myths are collectively remembered histories that have acquired symbolic values in society, and contrary to the perception that history is a neutral depiction of past, history textbooks, for example, are involved in creating and sustaining myths that are considered to be necessary in building a national identity. Stuart Hall has written about listening to the marginal voices such as those of blacks and migrants in creating heritage. Our fieldwork shows that the so-called official expert views and popular mythical perspectives on heritage can not only coexist but also enrich and complicate our understanding of heritage. Finally, even though young people think that heritage is something that happened in the past, they are actively involved in relating heritage with this past and this past with the present. This reminds one of Kevin Burth's argument that past and present are highly interconnected, in that past often shapes our present concerns and present shapes our understanding of past. Thank you so much.